So in the press conference session, my editor-in-chief, Mr. Aryan Bhattacharya, will be giving you the explanation and the rules that how the press conference will be going on. And before that, just a reminder, the international press correspondent have worked so hard in last 2.5 days to prepare these questions, and I would like to humbly request the delegates, if you have the answer, then try to answer that, because if you answer that, that also affirms your country policy, which may contain some marks additionally. And if you breach your country policy, that is the intention to ask the questions, right? So you will be thrown into great challenges, and I believe the delegates of Nepal 5.0 have that caliber to overcome the dynamical questions of the press. So waiting no more, I would like to pass the floor to the Honorable Head of Honorable Editor-in-Chief, to brief about the rules and procedures of this press conference.
Alright, good morning everyone present here. So the press conference, for those who don't know, it has a very simple format. The press asks you a question, you answer. You don't question back. Alright, the first thing how we are going to proceed is, we'll do committee-wise. After the chairs have given a summary of the committee. Alright, so let's say if we are going to start with HRC, the chair of HRC will just give a summary about the committee. We'll ask questions to the committee of HRC. Then next, we'll go to, let's say, UNW. The honorable chair will give a summary like that. I hope you guys understand. Also, some pointers to be kept in mind. It is okay to be sarcastic. This is both for the delegates as well as the journalists. It is okay to be sarcastic, but you have to maintain a boundary. Alright, I hope that's clear. That is the basic procedure how press conference works. I think we can start.
Yeah, one more thing to add with the manner of sarcasm. Because here we believe that we all are delegates, right? We are representing a country. For example, there's some MUN, like Model United Nations. And we have to behave and act like diplomat. In the real life MUN, in the real life United Nations, you don't see a delegate doing this, right? So the correspondents will ask you questions, maintaining their professionalism, maintaining their agency policy, and we would like to also request the delegates to also maintain the decorum, and what matters the most is politeness. Okay. So waiting no more time, the first committee that we want to address is the committee UNHSC. So now I would like to request the volunteers to hand over the microphone to the President of United Nations Human Rights Council.
For our committee was to discuss the situations of occupied Palestinian territory. So in our committee we discussed about women, children, we discussed about humanitarian aid. We also discussed about the refugee camps, the situation of refugee camps all over the world, because as it is United Nations Human Rights Council, so we wanted to address about all the violations of human rights happening in the world, not just take our committee to one track. So furthermore, we would also like to see the delegates talking on the various other topics on the coming days and go towards a fruitful resolution. Thank you.
Are there any questions regarding UNHRC? Yes, Al Jazeera.
Thanks for the floor, Honorable Editor-in-Chief, sir. Thank you for the floor, Honorable Editor-in-Chief, sir. My question is towards the delegate of Ukraine. Okay, so since 2022, the Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has invited Netanyahu to Ukraine and attempted to meet Benjamin Netanyahu multiple times. In fact, these two state leaders met during the United Nations General Assembly last year. Considering the warm and friendly relationships Ukraine and Israel shared, how realistic was the delegate's statement? Ukraine would have supported Palestine if we were capable, made during the committee sessions of the first day.
Tries to stay very much neutral. It supports peace and believes both Palestine and Israel should have their own countries, supporting the two-state policy. As all the countries know, Ukraine is in a difficult position currently. When Ukraine stated that they would have helped Gaza if they could, Ukraine was talking about the innocent lives lost in Gaza. No matter what stance it holds, Ukraine speaks for the innocent lives of lost in the ceasefire, being a victim itself. Thank you so much.
It supports the two-state solution on the basis of the borders of the 1967 division or any other situation.
Ukraine simply supports that Israel and Palestine should be two states differently, and they should stop war peacefully. It has not been able to support any countries with its military or anything like that. It just can support us with support other countries with their just peace talks and things like that, since it's suffering ourselves itself.
Answer was doubt. Like, what border is to support? Yes.
So there are. Honorable Delegate, you didn't specify anything regarding the border situation.
Regarding the border situation, Ukraine would like to have no comments currently.
Any country here, you are on a very neutral stance, am I right?
Very much, yes.
So why are you, supporting Israel with your defense technology and military?
Israel?
Yes.
Simply because we see a similarity between us and Israel, but in Ukraine also lives are being lost, and as well in Palestine, so we kind of sympathize with both the countries. So,
Ma'am, there's a difference between sympathizing and helping. Correct? So if you are providing supplies to Israel, why not Palestine?
we don't have enough supplies for providing both the countries, so we've chosen Israel.
Alright, thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for the floor, Editor-in-Chief. I would like to ask question the delegate of Lebanon. Given the recent declaration that Lebanon refugee camps are failing, my question is, with Lebanon's refugee camps repeatedly failing, what the immediate step is your government taking to improve condition, and how do you plan to collaborate with the international community to manage the crisis?
Thank you for the question. The government, the Republic of Lebanon provides refugees with a residence or identity card, which has been recognized by the International Labor Organization. The Palestinian refugees are provided with work in the Lebanese labor market by the Ministerial Decree 17561/64. In July 2023, the UNRWA Lebanon Field Office (LFO) launched the digital identity verification exercise among the Palestinian refugees from Syria in Lebanon to strengthen security delivery and resource utilization accountability through the establishment of a mechanism that ensures receptance of cash and assistance. Through this, about 22,000 refugees and more are being helped. Thank you.
With the ongoing strain on Lebanon's infrastructure due to large number of refugees, is there a specific strategy in a place to balance the needs of the local population and those of refugees? How does Lebanon view the role of other nations in sharing their responsibility?
For the question, the Lebanon government has approximately more than 210,000 Palestinian refugees. The Prime Minister of Lebanon, Najib Mikati, proposed a three-step peace plan for the Israeli-Palestinian conflict to resolve, which includes a 5-day ceasefire to halt hostilities, a permanent cessation for hostilities to ensure long-term peace, and implement the two-state solution. The Republic of Lebanon views the two-step solution in a positive light and would like to implement that to reduce the to bring forth a change in the condition of refugees with the upliftment of laws so that the Lebanese citizen can live in a better living situation. Thank you.
Well, one of your organization named Hezbollah, there is accusation that Lebanon as a country is doing state sponsorship terrorism, helping Hezbollah. So the press wants to know, isn't that worsening the condition of the ongoing war of Israel and Palestine?
No comments.
I have another follow-up for you if you are open to it. Are you comfortable answering?
Okay.
Yeah. Ma'am, you stated how you were, taking care of your infrastructure as well as huge crowd of refugees. But no matter how much the time is, you have been failing. You have been failing to take care of the refugees. You have a political deadlock in your country. You have economic crisis. You have regional instability. And we can't see any progress. I love your confidence though, but we have not been seeing any improvements. So what do you have to say on this?
The Republic of Lebanon is currently facing crisis, and it has been. As the ongoing war, Israelis are targeting the eastern Lebanon and killing innocent souls first by carrying out 3 airstrikes, due to which the government of Lebanon is more focused on protecting the sovereignty of the nation and maintaining peace inside the country.
Okay, ma'am, from when did this crisis start in your country?
No comments.
You ask the question to China. China, given your position on international sovereignty and territorial disputes, how do you reconcile your support for Palestine with your the need for balanced diplomacy in addressing human rights violation in occupied Palestinian territories?
Thank you so much for the question. China is deeply concerned about the human rights situation in occupied Palestinian territories. We advocate for the protection of human rights for all individuals and support efforts that contribute to peace and stability in this region. China provides humanitarian aid to Palestinian territories through various international organizations. This aid includes food, medical supplies, and development assistance to support the well-being of Palestinian people. Thank you.
Okay, so with this we come to an end of the press conference with UNHRC. Next we have UN. Okay, UN Women. I would like the chair of the UN Women to summarize us with your committees. Yes.
Thank you, Honorable International Press. So as of now, the United Nations Women is discussing on the agenda regarding SDG 5, the Sustainable Development Goals for 2030. And we have mainly focused our discussions on the target 2, 3, and 6. Target 2 talks about elimination of all forms of violence. Target 3 talks about elimination of early child and forced marriage, along with the female genital mutilation as well. And the 6th target is to eliminate The sixth target is to give a universal access to sexual and reproductive health rights. So as of now, the committee has talked about SDG 2 and 6. However, we are yet to discuss the target number 3, and we are expecting the committee to talk about the forced and early child marriages as of the forward committee sessions. And yes, that is all. And there have been discussions regarding the problems, and also the solutions have been presented by a lot of nations regarding what can be done in the future to make sure that our goals for 2030 are met. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Chair of United Nations Women. So, correspondents, is there any questions on the floor?
In last session, USA claims Afghanistan hijacked the Islam and hiding behind to the religion. Then I have a question. What is the real Islam from perspective of USA?
Thank you, Honorable Correspondent. The delegate of United States of America has stated that Afghanistan is hijacking Islam because they are using Islam against the female of their country, and they're using it for the Taliban authority. They are not allowing the women to study after 6th grade. They're not allowing the women to come up with entrepreneurship and any kind of work. They're just keeping them behind on purpose. And they are stating their Quran verses which are manipulated, and in Quran there is no way, and in Quran there is nowhere it stated that women cannot work as much as men. So yes, that's how Afghanistan is hijacking Islam.
Can you mention please what is the verse? You mentioned a verse of Quran.
They have mentioned in their speech there is a verse of Quran which says women cannot work outside, women cannot move around without quote unquote a mahram male partner with them.
Ma'am, we understand your concern for women in Afghanistan, especially the delegate of USA. I'm, quite starstruck here. But what happened to your military? What happened to your aid that you provided to Afghanistan when the Taliban were, trying to hijack it? You entered the committee. You said you were helping the country, right? And then you withdraw your military as if nothing happened. And now the state of Afghanistan, it is because of you, if I have to say. It's because of your country.
Please reply.
Sorry?
Please reply.
Yeah.
Last year, in 2023, the director of United Nations Women had went to Afghanistan to have a talk with the Taliban government, and the Taliban government didn't even want to talk to us, with the United Nations Women. And according to the United Nations Women mandate, if any member country wants the fund from the United Nations Women and the member country will give it to them. But they are not even willing to talk to the United Nations Women because the director was a woman. So how are we going to help them?
Okay. How are you going to help them? Ma'am, I find this very ironical because after you left Afghanistan, you left military weapons worth 7.1 billion that are now being used by the Taliban. Are you aware of this fact? Of United States leaving around 7.1 billion worth of military weapons which are now being used by the Taliban to oppress the Afghani people?
No comments from the delegate.
Thank you, ma'am.
Any other questions on the floor? Yes, Alzazia.
My question is towards the delegate of US as well. In the aftermath of the arrest of 10 Israeli soldiers due to their involvement in a gang rape incident of a Palestinian prisoner inside Tayman detention facility, Israeli leaders at Knesset defended these soldiers, saying everything is legitimate. In the light of such human rights violations and sexual abuse committed by Israel, how can the US still justify showing support and provide resources to an apartheid state like Israel?
Thank you so much, Correspondent. Please reply. Recently, on August 7, 2024, the State Department spokesperson Matthew Miller at a press briefing had said, and the delegate quotes, "There ought to be zero tolerance of any sexual abuse, rape of any detainees, period." So the United States has already called for Israel to investigate allegations of this horrific sexual abuse in Palestinian detainees, and if they do not come up with a thorough investigation, then if after they come with a thorough investigation on this topic, then after the US will take the next step.
Honorable Delegate, the incident of the gang rape was on camera and it was published by the Al Jazeera in a limited way. So how can you ask for another investigation from the Israeli regime that is supporting their soldiers committing gang rape? How ironic is that?
Please reply. The United States is aware of the fact that there were footages on their Israeli channel N12. It has appeared that group of detainees were lying on the ground, and that is why the government of United States of America is urging the Israeli authority to do a thorough research and thorough investigation, because they have seen the footage itself.
Any other question for UN Women?
I want to ask the question to the delegate of Afghanistan. Any other countries you have to Almost 90% of women in Afghanistan have experienced at least one form of domestic violence. Is government aware of that?
Please reply. The Afghani government, Taliban, it's aware of those incidents, and it's as I mentioned, as the delegate mentioned, that it's aware of that, and they have established the Committee of Women's Affairs to help those incidents.
What are the steps that committee has already taken for the women's?
Please reply. Well, the steps taken by those in that committee is that it has directly involved in the UNICEF, and with the help of UNICEF, as well as the local organization, they are going to different like rural areas, and they have been spreading awareness.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Okay, with this we come to an end with UN Women.
The head of IP and the correspondents. Our committee, UNODC, United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime, is focused on preventing illicit drugs trafficking among youth. So we've had wonderful moderator caucus topics. We've had discussed 3 moderator caucus topics that have aligned through effects of synthetic drugs. We have had discussed the loopholes in the international relations of the committee, UNODC, and we have also discussed some of the problems that arise in the illicit trafficking of synthetic drugs in the international arena. We have had solutions also proposed by our country. We have had wonderful discussions in this agenda. So that's all. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Chair. Yes, do we have any questions? Yes, Al Jazeera. Okay, just a sec. Yes. Reuters, yes.
Thank you, Head of IP, for the floor. So I want to raise this question for Peru. The delegate of Peru refused to consider drug abuse as major issue, even though only 24%, even though 24% of male and 9% of female, 9% of female are into drug abuse. So 33% of Peru is drug addicted. So the press wants to know how can Peru say that it is not a major issue.
Yes.
The delegate of Peru would like to clarify that the nation surely believes that the drug abuse is one of the major issues of the world, despite of the rate of consumption. the raid of Peru debated with the accusation that Peru is a hub for drugs and stated that statistics of uses. But we are continuously updating our policies to be a better nation. Although Peru has been accused to be one of the largest production of coca bushes, but the uses of drugs cannot be justified, as the leaves can be used for medicinal purpose, cosmetic and food industry. The traditional use of coca leaves is an ancestral practice which was never criminalized, and most of the criminal legislation on drugs are found from 296
Thank you, Honorable Delegate of Peru. Yes, I think we got our answer that you asked. But yesterday, as per our report, you said that 24% of your male population is drug addicted and 9% of female population is drug addicted. However, that is not a big issue. So yesterday that wasn't a big issue, but today in your speech you said, yes, it's a big issue. Now why the sudden change of mind? Like it wasn't a big issue before, but why it is today? Thank you.
The nation did not say that it's not a major issue. The IP must have misinterpreted it. But the delegate was debating that Peru was a major nation for the drug consumption of the United Nations. It was an allegation, and the nation was trying.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Yes, do you have any other question? Yes, I'll see.
My question is towards the delegate of USA of UNODC. On the second day of the committee discussions, the US raised concerns over the usage of drugs by soldiers in conflict zones, such as Russia, Ukraine, and Israel-Palestine. But the US also has its soldiers serving or previously served in conflict zones like Iraq, Syria, Libya, etc. According to the verified sources we have, at least 10% of the US veterans suffer from substance abuse disorders. Now, how can the international community be certain that the US or its soldiers have no connections with the synthetic or organic drugs used during deployment?
Thank you for the question. Before answering, the delegate would like to raise a point of parliamentary inquiry to the executive board. Is it mandatory for us to follow the ROPs like pay to reply, or is it not mandatory?
It is mandatory.
Pay to reply? So the delegate had raised the concerns about use of synthetic drugs in war zones, and the delegate is also aware that the soldiers of USA previously were involved in those activities. But regarding the concerns, and after our reports and our investigations, we have implemented new laws and new rules that forbid the soldiers who are involved in the war or the conflict zones to use synthetic drugs, and rather we have implemented them to use normal drugs as in the performance enhancements chemical rather than synthetic drugs. Thank you.
What was the source of 10%?
The source of 10% was the Veterans Association of the US. Can the US delegate of USA elaborate on the steps it has taken so far, and the speech or the statement the US delivered suggests that the cases of drug abuse among the soldiers were absolutely true?
To reply? So the delegate stated that that was an issue faced by the US government and the soldiers in the conflict zones. The delegate never agreed that it was a huge problem and not all the veterans or all the soldiers in the war zone were involved in it. The delegate rather stated that some soldiers or some individuals were involved in it. And to answer regarding the steps we have taken, we have strictly forbidden any transportation or supplying of synthetic drugs towards the soldiers, and we have also implemented strict laws against the soldiers who are caught using synthetic drugs without prior permission.
Thank you so much, Delegate. Do we have any other questions for this committee? Yes, Sienna.
Thank you, Honorable Chair, for the floor. My question is for the delegate of China. So it was reported that about 8% of all drug users in China were under the age of 30. So what specific strategy is China implementing to prevent the illicit spread of drugs?
With the permission of Dias member, can the delegate of IP repeat the question again?
It was reported that about 8% of all drug users in China were under the age of 30. So what specific strategies did China implement to prevent the illicit spread of drugs?
Actually, the China did not mention that it was under 13 is the persons who use drugs. The China mentioned that the drugs was used by the population of China who is using not for the use of medicines, for the use of abusing, and for that solution China has mentioned some points, and the delegate of IP who have raised this question, that is little bit not mentioned in the delegate of China.
Does anyone have other questions?
Oh yes, Tas.
Thank you, Editor-in-Chief. Tash would like to ask a question to the delegate of Russia. As we know, 15% of Russian youth are in drug addiction. So, what specific measures does your country propose to curb their illicit spread among youth?
To reply? First of all, the Russian Federation would like to emphasize on the fact that the Russian Federation has a very ever-changing federal law. First, like whenever we found like any substances which has been found like newly manner, that it automatically includes in the federal law of the conversion. First, like whenever we found like a substance like carfentanil, that was automatically included in the federal law under the heading of the narcotics department, under the heading of the narcotics listings, basically. If you would like want to be more specific, there have been like article number 828.1, article number 29, and several other articles that has actually reformed the illegal use of the substances that has been prohibited by the Russian government. Like if you want to know about the more like the practical ones, that the Russian government has been implementing cyber legislation that has been highly implemented regarding the conversation as well. Basically, whenever you have any country doesn't have a cyber legislation, the particular country that cannot actually make the other the online platforms or the other social media like to be bound to be to be aligned with the government's policies and everything. But due to the related Russian Federation, the government of Russian Federation has already taken steps in order to like measures regarding the cybercrime legislation. We are like having a very much improvement regarding the abuse of drugs in terms of the federation.
We get you, sir. Thanks so much.
France has been actively involved in combating synthetic drug use. What new strategies or policies in your government implementing to address the rise of synthetic drugs among youth, and how do you plan to enhance international cooperation, particularly with other European countries, to tackle cross-border trafficking?
Please to reply.
Yes.
The French Republic has been continuously implementing newer solutions and newer ideas to handle drug trafficking and drug abuse. Like the French Republic has moved away from zero tolerance policies and has moved towards harm reduction and things like that, and that has seen a positive effect, and the drug use in France is lower than it used to be a decade ago. And about the matter of international collaboration and cross-border policies, France has been continuously working with other countries of the European Union to handle the drug trafficking situation in Europe and has continuously been supporting the UN ODC in its policies. Like recently, France, in collaboration with the Italian government, seized around 30 tons of drugs that were being transported via remote control submarines through the Italian
Thank you
channel.
so much, Delegate. Delegate, before you sit down, as you are so concerned about your country, what is the national anthem of France called?
Yes, I
could see how you use the internet. Thank you so much. You may please sit down. Any other question?
Lead to reply.
So we don't allow it. You respect that. You go.
The drug war has killed more than 41,000 people over the past years, and the present cartel-induced homicides are the rise. Even in July, Mexico experienced a mass killing. So the press wants to know how much control Mexico has really regarding its security and what is obstructing it from accepting extensive assistance from the international community.
Right? Mexico believes that security is not the problem, that is still allowing synthetic drugs to be flowed in the borders of Mexico. Mexico personally believes that the reason why synthetic drugs are still in appeal in Mexico is because even though the law has prohibited such kind of drugs, it has fueled the black markets more, and the youths are getting more attracted to it. Therefore, Mexico has not made any steps towards the security aspect of synthetic drugs. However, it has made significant steps towards the awareness aspect of synthetic drugs. So, for example, Mexico has been leading many youth-led prevention programs that aware the youth in a more appealing manner that will really be a lot more appealing and relatable for them to prevent such kind of flow of synthetic drugs. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
The head of IP as well as the editors, the secretariat as well as the IP members and their delegates. So in ECOFIN, the agenda of ECOFIN is regarding the sanctions that have been put on countries worldwide. So till now we've had around 5 mods, and in these moderated caucuses we've been discussing the fruitfulness of these sanctions. We have had some very controversial statements made in the committee, so I hope that the IP members are going to address it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Chair, do we have any questions? Yes.
Honorable International Press, I, the Executive Director of the United Nations Women, have a request for the Secretary General sitting right there on the stage. Me with my committee wants to return back to our own committee session. We find the press very disrespectful, not just to the delegates of the United Nations as a whole. We believe a press conference is not a place to ask the delegates their national anthem. Even if they do not know that, they're allowed to present a nation regarding an agenda, not to represent their nation as a whole. And it's a request to the Secretary General to let the United Nations women return back to their committee. If that would be done, we would be really glad.
Hello, I believe I'm audible. Hello, am I audible? Hello. Yeah, on behalf of International Press, I'm as the head of IP. Yes, I also found that thing unnecessary, and I agreed to the Honorable Executive Honorable Chair of UN Women, and from behalf of the international press, and I think I also believe I speak for the editor-in-chief as well. We also humbly apologize because if someone is using like internet while giving an answer, I think that will be marked that way. But I think there is also some limitations that the international press should follow. And yes, on that reason, I would also like to humbly request you to please patiently wait here until the session ends, because like you guys are cooperating with ourselves, and the international press, on behalf of myself and my committee, will also cooperate. So thank you.
I would like to request the Executive Director of UN Women to please stay back, and I guess we can continue this session.
Thank you, Honorable Secretary General MUN, to let us continue the session, and we're done with the committee session with the press conference of UN ODC. Now I would like to we're in the committee session of ECOFIN. So the ECOFIN Vice Chairperson has given the committee overview. Now I would like to ask the correspondents, do you have any questions to the delegates of ECOFIN? Correspondent of AFP, you have the floor.
My question is for Germany, delegate of Germany. Germany has suggested rising taxes as a way to mitigate the effects of sanctions. How does the German delegation plan to ensure this approach doesn't negatively impact on the general population, especially during economic instability?
Please to reply. Can you repeat the question?
Sure. Germany has suggested raising tax as a way to mitigate the effects of sanctions. How does the German delegation plan to ensure what is the approach doesn't negatively impact general population, especially during economic instability?
So the delegate of please to reply. The German has decided to increase the tax to the countries which were using military operations to isolate the country economically, and by increasing the tax, what German thinks is Germany would cooperate with other countries too. Not only Germany, but Germany would like to do partnerships with other countries to isolate the country which was in military operations.
How will Germany make sure that rising taxes won't hurt low-income families during these tough times?
I'm sorry, I really can't understand.
How will Germany make sure that raising tax won't hurt low-income families during this tough time?
It will. So Germany will provide. The government of Germany will provide care to the people who are there.
Thank you.
Thank you, delegates, for the floor. Now, I would like to ask the question for Ukraine. Given your acknowledgement of loopholes in addressing the war, what specific measures are you advocating to enhance the effectiveness of international stances, and how does your country, Ukraine, balance this measure with the potential economic impacts on Ukraine and its allies?
Thank you very much for the question. Despite the unstable economical condition, Ukraine have actively been involved in advocating for the sanctions against Russia, particularly in response to the ongoing conflict and invasion of territory. We have been well aware about the ongoing sanctions and its effects on the world economy, as well on us, as we've been facing problems like economic disruptions, financial pressures, and many more. But it doesn't mean that we'll not be supporting the sanctions implemented upon aggression, as it have been a huge help to our country. Like every problem has a solution. We also came up with a solution to the ongoing problem that we're solving.
Multilaterally, Ukraine takes all possible measures to avoid consequences for global supply chain and its own industry. With support of multilateral coordination, we're encouraging a standardized approach among international partners on issues of enforcement. Ukraine engaged in diplomatic outreach for the sanctions to...
Thank you, Honorable Delegate of Ukraine, for your answer. Okay, any other questions? Any other correspondent who have any questions? Yeah, BBC.
I want to ask the question to Delegate of Portugal. Portugal has acknowledged Russia as a top oil trader, yet continue to sanction. How does Portugal reconcile its reliance on Russian oil with the need to enforce the sanction? And what alternative energy strategies are being considered to reduce dependency on Russia? Portugal has acknowledged Russia as a top oil trader. What alternative energy strategies are being considered to reduce the dependency on Russian resources?
To reply. Portugal considered Russia as one of the top traders in sectors of oil. So Portugal thinks the other measures to counter the energy shortage could be uses of renewable energy.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, we move to the next committee, which is... Okay, can the chair of UNEP please brief us about the press?
So essentially in the United Nations Environment Program, we discussed about the endangerment of the environment caused due to the massive industry of animal agriculture or animal husbandry. Delegates discussed about feeding, grazing, deforestation and different types of water pollutions. They dive deeply into the problems about the environmental effects caused due to animal husbandry. The delegates also discussed deeply about the greenhouse gas emissions caused due to the massive animal husbandry industry. They discussed some solutions. They discussed about various solutions regarding rotational grazing and so on. They also discussed about the different technology that could be used and that is about to be researched and that is being worked on for the reduction of greenhouse gas emissions and also for the deforestation and so on. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Chair. Do we have any questions for UNEP? Yes, CNN.
Thank you, Honorable Chair, for the floor. I would like to ask the question to the delegate of China. Between the year 2000 and 2018, China lost approximately 7.4 million hectares of forest, partly due to agriculture expansion for feed production. So what measures is your country willing to take to mitigate the environmental impacts of animal husbandry while ensuring food security for your population?
Please reply. So China is currently taking action such as regulation on manure management, circulating agriculture, as well as promoting and investing on farming for local farmers and providing education on how to reduce the animal husbandry and a lower scale. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next.
Thank you for the floor yet again. My question is, Al Jazeera's question is towards the delegate of Germany. Germany is not present. This question can be referred to the whole committee. Male chick culling is one of the most brutal practices of egg production industry, with almost 6.5 million chickens being disposed due to lack of profitability profitability every year. With only few countries banning such animal cruelty, how can animal rights be ensured globally?
This question is to the entire committee, whichever country can get up an answer for this question. Yes, France.
Point of parliamentary inquiry.
Yes.
Can we get the question repeated again?
Sure thing.
Male chick culling is one of the most brutal practices of the egg production industry, with 6.5 million chickens being disposed due to lack of profitability. With only few countries banning such animal cruelty, how can animal rights be ensured in these industrial sectors?
Got the question?
So for animal cruelty,
Yes.
we need to enhance the new regulation and new funding laws to ensure that no animal harming act such happens, such as I will mention the such laws, such acts. Sorry.
Thank you so much, ma'am. We come to the end with UNEP. Next, can I ask the speaker?
I am the chair of Federal Parliament of Nepal. First of all, I would like to clarify on what actually the Federal Parliament of Nepal is. It is a supreme legislative body of Nepal, which is similar to the concept of Bangladesh, which is known as House of Nation. House of Nation, yes, and similar as to the India, Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha. Accordingly, the Constitution of Nepal 2072 and its Article 296 has provision about the power and authority to make a law for the Federal Parliament of Nepal. So we have discussed about the main problem which is happening at Nepal as well as developing countries, known as corruption. Corruption is the major problems of the developing countries like the Nepal. So we have intense and fruitful discussions, debate by the different leaders, MPs and the ministers of our committee. The main issue was how we can prevent corruption in Nepal. Second one, does any amendment to be needed for the legal framework of corruption or not? Third one, limitations for the filing of the cases. The fourth one, nexus between corruption and the CIA, which is an investigating authority of the corruption for Nepal. And at last, we discussed about the suspension of the corrupted as well as alleged persons of the corruption from their public office and the stakeholders. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Speaker. Yes, do we have any questions for FLP?
Thank you, Editor-in-Chief, for the floor. My question is directed towards the Honorable Prime Minister, KP Sharma Oli. So the question goes like this. Honorable Prime Minister, what steps is your government taking to fight corruption, and how will you make sure that public officials are more transparent and accountable?
Thank you for your question. As the Prime Minister of Nepal, my government
is doing its best to control corruption in our country. Our country, corruption is the major problem of our country, and we have been really working hard to control it. In our meetings, in our parliamentary meetings, we have moved to some conclusions on what to do to control corruption. Firstly, we have made some strict policies about controlling corruption and effectively implemented it. And secondly is strictness. Thank you.
However, Honorable Prime Minister, it seems somewhat ironic that you are advocating for measures against corruption when there are past allegations for your involvement in the Giri Bandhu tea scam. What are your thoughts on this matter?
Well, sanctions can be imposed on anyone, and we have formed a committee to investigate on Giri Bandhu case. So your questions will be answered by the committee itself, and I have no need to answer on this. Thank you.
Regarding your statements, there is no committee that has been formed for the investigation for this tea scam. However, the Nepali Congress itself has been charged you with the policy corruption in the Giri Bandhu tea scam, Giri Bandhu tea estate scam. What are your comments on this matter?
I think you know this false thought about the committee. A committee had been formed for investigating the Giri Bandhu tea scam case. Thank you.
A particular law of the Corruption Prevention Act 2059. So the Nepal has 10 different laws to prevent corruption. 10 different laws. And having those 10 different laws to prevent corruptions, Nepal is failing severely and positions 108 among 180 countries. So the government or the parliament think, after amending this particular law of Corruption Prevention Act 2059, will Nepal be on the right track, or they will again lose, or they again lose track again, like they did in past times, having 10 different laws but having no significant progress. Thank you. Speaker camera. Yeah, I would like to encourage a delegate to answer that.
Yeah, corruption. Thank you for the question. Free to reply. Yeah, corruption will be stopped after the implementation of this act, because we are working on this act to make our country corruption free. That's why we, government and the opposition parties, get together to modify this act and make it more stronger. So it will try to stop corruption in Nepal, and we will try to make Nepal a corruption-free country. Thank you.
Thank you, member, for the answer. And we all hope, I think we all believe here in all the Nepalis and all the people who came here from abroad, that every nations, in fact my nations in Bangladesh, I also want corruption-free. So yeah, best of luck for you and best of luck for us, the people of subcontinent. So yeah, with that we conclude the press conference of this council.
My delegates are amazing in doing research. They have talked about the economic, they have talked about the climate change effects of militarization in Arctic region, and they are still progressing. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much. Do we have any questions for UNSC? Okay, Al Jazeera.
Thank you for the floor. My question is towards the delegate of USA from the Security Council. In the 2024 Arctic strategy published by the US Department of Defense, the US has expressed concerns over the growing cooperation between Russia and China, stating that it may destabilize the region. However, US itself is forming ice pact to compete or contest the region with Russia. In addition, NATO has also expanded with the accession of two Arctic states being Sweden and Finland. So the press wants to know, how can the US deny its role in the possible destabilization of the region too?
Please to reply.
Yes.
Thank you, Press, for the question. First of all, the United States of America would like to state that the United States of America has always advocated for peaceful, sustainable, and cooperative development in the Arctic region through militarization. As stated by the press themselves, it is mentioned how the Russian Federation and the Chinese Federation have been trying to establish a strong bond in the Arctic region. The reason why US has been so cautious about this is because, as aforementioned, the USA is always looking forward for cooperative development. There have been instances from the Russian Federation of trying to have monopoly over certain sea routes, which have proven to be highly economically beneficial for especially some Asian countries. Henceforth, the US does not support such claims. In order to make sure that the power stabilization in such region is always maintained, the US, along with some NATO countries, have taken policies in such. Thank you.
I have a question for the delegate of China. China often speaks of peaceful intention in Arctic, yet many suspect that this marks heightened geopolitical goals. How do you respond to critics who accuse China of using scientific research as a cover of militarization? Sorry for my pronunciation.
Could you repeat the question?
Yeah, sure. China often speaks of peaceful intention in the Arctic, yet many suspect that this marks heightened geopolitical goals. How do you respond to critics who accuse China of using scientific research as a cover of militarization?
Well, I believe the delegate of China believes that the critics who say that China's scientific research is just a cover-up for the militarization of the Arctic is very false. We have only been doing scientific research and has had a peaceful pact with Russia to make a new shipping route, and we have not tried on militarization of the Arctic. Thank you.
I have a question to the delegate of United States of America. In the third pillar of National Strategy of Arctic Region 2024, United States talked about the sustainable economic development. Could you please clarify about it?
Thank you for the question. In the strategy that was mentioned by the press, the United States did mention about sustainable development in the region. The United States would like to provide examples to clarify how the United States has been implementing that. Through regional support and cooperative initiations in the region, the United States has tried its best to ensure that the cooperation remains sustainable. One prime example of that would be in case of the oil drilling in the Arctic regions. This policy was signed between the President of Canada and the President of the United States during Obama's presidency. This stated that in all regions of the Arctic regions from the Canadian water and in the certain regions of the American water, oil drilling would be strictly prohibited, henceforth ensuring sustainable, environmental friendly and cooperative development in the Arctic through militarization. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you, the Honorable Chair, for the floor. I would like to ask question to delegate of Russia. How does the UNSC plan to engage the member state to prevent the militarization of international law through the misuse of article?
Absolutely reply. Could the correspondent please repeat the question?
How
does the UNSC plan to engage the member states to prevent the militarization of international law through the misuse article?
Thank you for the question, correspondent. So, as Russian Federation, we have our military presence on the basis of Article 51 of the UN Charter because the Russian Federation feels threatened by NATO because they have been militarizing the Arctic as well. When we do it, why is it wrong? That is the question. However, as the delegate of the United States mentioned that it looks for cooperation. However, as the 7 other Arctic states have put a halt to the Arctic Council, the most primary platform of cooperating in the Arctic, and it talks about, and NATO countries talk about sustainable development, economic development as well, but when it has been unilaterally sanctioning Russia all along, which has been destroying the economy of Europe.
Thank you so much, sir. Yes.
So, this is for Sweden. The delegate of Sweden said that use of Arctic regions is not only for profit purposes but for the betterment of country. So the press wants to know, how can you say that Arctic regions are for betterment of countries?
Thank you, international press. The delegate of Sweden wants to say that Sweden, as using the international route, I did mention that it is not for profit but for the betterment of the country. What the delegate means is that, as you know, that Sweden is a neutral, not that neutral, we're the allies of the United States, but the delegate of Sweden wants to say that Sweden wants the use of the Arctic route for the betterment of the Arctic regions, and not for monopoly and for the economic development of one particular region. So the delegate of Sweden wants to say that it should be, the Arctic route should be for cooperation among the Arctic countries and not for monopolization over the economy of other countries. Thank you.
I have a question for delegate of South Korea. As a non-Arctic state, how does South Korea justify its increasing role in Arctic affairs without appearing to support US military goals that some argue contribute to militarization?
No comments.
Alright, so with this we come to the end of the press conference. A big round of applause to each and every delegate and journalist present here. Thank you guys so much for cooperating. If the press was sarcastic or if we did hurt your sentiments, I'm very sorry. But this just shows that you lack research, but you take this as a motivation. Alright, you take this in a sporting manner. You don't go hold grudges and push me down the stairs after this press conference ends. Alright, so with this, the IP takes your leave. Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you so much, IP. Thank you all for your time and thoughtful questions today, and I hope this conference was informative. And I would like to extend my heartfelt apologies for the recent lapse in the professionalism during this press conference. As a Secretary General, I understand the importance of maintaining respect and professionalism at all times. And I'm truly sorry for any discomfort or any kind of behavior that may have caused. With this, I would like to say that the press conference is ended here, and every committees can go to their respective places. Volunteers, please guide everyone. Thank you.
And esteemed guests, I, Bibisha Adhikari, your Executive General for Nepal MUN 5.0, and I, Dilasha Raimaji, the Head of PR and Marketing, would like to welcome all of you to the closing ceremony of Nepal MUN 5.0. As we bring this incredible session of the Model United Nations 5.0 I would like to take a moment to reflect on the remarkable journey we've all embarked upon over the last few days. I would like all of you to stand up for our national anthem. Mr. Krishna Hari Thapa. Miss Shraddha Thapa and Miss Muna Mangraka. And we would also like to welcome the respected principal of Himalaya College of Engineering. Also Mr. Shyam Shrestha. Moving forward.
समापन कार्यक्रमका हाम्रो ड्यासमा आसीन हाम्रो वडा नम्बर 4 का वडा सदस्यज्यूहरू हर्षनाथ सर, श्याम सर, रामभक्त सर, अनि आजको अभिभावकज्यूहरू, विद्यार्थी भाइ बहिनीहरू, प्रिन्सिपल सर बाहिर जानु प्रिन्सिपल सर, सबैमा मेरो व्यक्तिगत तर्फबाट वडा नम्बर 4 र ललितपुर महानगरपालिकाको तर्फबाट हजुरलाई सन्ध्याकालीन नमस्ते। आजको यस कार्यक्रम बारे मलाई खासै त धेरै थाहा छैन, जति बुझेको छु एकदमै राम्रो छ। भाइ बहिनीहरूलाई सर्वप्रथम म शुभकामना साथै बधाई पनि दिन चाहन्छु। यहाँहरूले 3 दिनको यस कार्यक्रममा 3 दिनको बसाइमा धेरै कुरा सिक्नुभयो होला। हामीले अब अघि प्रिन्सिपल सरले पनि भन्नुभएको थियो कि हाम्रो यो उमेरमा त हामी एउटा माइक समाउन पनि काम थियौँ, डढाउँथ्यौँ, तर भाइ बहिनीहरूले एकदम राम्रो गर्नुभएको थियो, गर्नुभएको छ, गर्नुपर्ने भएको छ भनेर मलाई भन्नुभएको थियो। मलाई एकदम खुसी लाग्यो। हजुरको उज्जवल भविष्यको कामना पनि गर्न चाहन्छु। हामीले तपाईहरुले यस कार्यक्रममा अरु त थाहा छ त पार्लियामेन्टमा के हुन्छ, राजनीति भनेको के हो हजुरले राम्रोसँग बुझ्नुभयो। पार्लियामेन्टमा के हुन्छ, कसरी चाहिँ अब देश चल्दो रहेछ हैन भन्ने कुरा हजुरले बुझ्नुभयो भन्ने मैले विश्वास लिएको छु। र यस कार्यक्रममा खासै भन्यो भने हाम्रो आज ललितपुर महानगरपालिकाको मेयर साहब चिरीबाबु महर्जनजी आउने कुरा थियो। उहाँको स्वास्थ्यको कारणले गर्दा उहाँ आउन सक्नु भएन र त्यो साथै हाम्रो वडा नम्बर 4 को वडा अध्यक्ष सन्तोष खड्काजी पनि आउने कार्यक्रम थियो, उहाँ पनि आउनु भएन। उहाँको अनुपस्थितिमा उहाँको तर्फबाट क्षमा माग्छु म। हामी त्यसै क्षमा माग्छु हजुरहरूसँग। अब धेरै पनि कुरा नगरिकन यस कार्यक्रममा हामीले वडा नम्बर 4 को ललितपुर महानगर वडा नम्बर 4 को तर्फबाट के गर्न सकिन्छ अलिअलि हामी सहयोग गरेको थियौँ। आगामी दिनमा यस कार्यक्रममा पनि अझ पनि सहयोग गर्छु भन्ने प्रतिबद्धता चलाउन चाहन्छु। साथै यस कार्यक्रमका हाम्रो रिसन श्रेष्ठ हाम्रो वडा नम्बर 4 कै बासिन्दा हो र उहाँलाई पनि म धेरै धेरै बधाई र शुभकामना दिन चाहन्छु। म रिसन बाबुलाई उज्जवल भविष्यको कामना गर्दै यस कार्यक्रम अत्याधिक रूपले सफल भयो भन्ने विश्वास लिँदै अझ पनि कार्यक्रम जुन हुँदैछ अझ भव्य र सबै रूपले समापन होस् भन्ने शुभकामना दिँदै बिदा हुन चाहन्छु। धन्यवाद।
Thank you so much, sir.
Deputy Secretary General of Nepal MUN 5.0. So, आज चाहिँ म in our Nepali Git Council, which will represent Nepali culture and tradition. The song is called Kusuri. मैले पहिलाको साल पनि यही गीत गाएको थिएँ, मलाई यो गीत एकदमै मन परेको भएर म यो गीत गाउन गइरहेको छु। सबैलाई आउँछ होला, so you could sing with me, है? मायाको बारीमा फुटेको फुला सँगाली राखेको Thank you so much, Martha. Now we would like to proceed towards the award ceremony. Firstly, we would like to call upon stage our Chief Advisor, Mr. Rushen Shrestha, to kindly hand over the token of love to our respective venue partner, that is Himalayan College of Engineering. Also, I would like to request the Principal of Himalayan College to kindly grant us with his presence on the stage. Secondly, I would again like to request our Honorable Chief Advisor, Mr. Rushen Shrestha, to kindly hand over the token of love to our incredible OC members. First of all, we have our Secretary General, Ms. Perika Oli. Our Deputy Secretary General, Smarika Bajimaya. Our Director General, Ms. Mahima Pathak. Our Executive General, Ms. Bibisha Adhikari. Charge C Affairs, Ms. Ashna Casey. Our Head of Finance, Ms. Arshia Maharzan. Our Head of IT, Mr. Sayan Karki. Our Head of
Logistics, Mr. Swadhin Raj Sitaula. Our Head of PR and Marketing, Ms. Dilasha Raimaji. Our Head of Communications, Ms. Neha Dhital. Our Head of Creatives, Ms. Nihira Joshi. Our Head of Photography, Sujal Shrestha. Our Head of Videography, Mr. Roni Shrestha. And our Head of Operations, Mr. Hemant Yadav. Thank you so much, Mr. Shrestha. Now we would like to request our Secretary General, Ms. Prerika Oli, to hand over the token of love to our respective EB members. Firstly, we have the EB of UNSC, Mr. Guntas Singh Barsal, the President and Vice President. Now I would like to call the EBs from UNW, Ms. Cindy Bhandari. Now I'd like to call Deputy Executive Director, Ms. Prasanna Upreti. I'd like to call the chair from UNHRC, Ms. Rachana Bhatta. Vice Chair Naushid Fatima. our moderator, Ms. Pariksha Shrestha. Now I would like to call upon the stage the EB members of UNEP. Vice Chair Muhammad Saria Iyal. Moving on to the EB members of ECOFIN. As the chair, we have the heavy hours. As the vice chair, we have Mr. Sujal Pandey. Moving on to FPN. As the speaker, we have Sujan Achami. As the deputy speaker, we have Amisha Adhikari. Up next, we have IP. As the head of IP, we have Hussein Osman. As the editor-in-chief, we have Aryan Bhattacharya. Last but not the least, we have UNODC. As the executive director, we have Rita Magar. As the deputy executive director, we have Ms. Awani Nepal. Next up, we would like to call our Chief Advisor, Mr. Rishan Shrestha, to hand over the token of love to our respected guests. I would like to call Mr. Sunil Rana Mogar on stage. Mr. Krishna Hari Thapa. Miss Muna Magrati. Miss Shota Thapa. Mr. Harshnath Kumar Jha. Mr. Sham Shrestha.
But a seed planted for the future. The connection we have made, the ideas we have shared, and the dreams we have nurtured are not confined. They are the beginnings of a brighter future, one that each of us will carry forward. Lastly, I, Prinika Oli, Secretary General of Nepal MUN 5.0, and with my Director General, Mahima Pathak, we would like to declare this conference closed. Thank you for bringing your heart and spirit to Nepal MUN 5.0. Thank you, everyone.
Now, I would like to call on stage all of our college ambassadors and volunteers for this Nepal MUN 5.0. Shrestha, Rambam Shrestha, and Dipesh Kapli. Everyone, please give them a huge round of applause. Everyone, please give them a huge round of applause. They're definitely the pillars of Nepal MUN 5.0. Thank you so much to the volunteers and CA. And let's also give a huge round of applause to our Executive General, Ms. Bibi Shadikari, which we missed back there for the dedication of the Nepal MUN 645. I would like to again request all of the OC members to please come up on the stage for a group hug.
Cute. Ini tak ada yang pakai.